Have you ever hit a weight loss plateau and it just felt like no matter what you did, no matter how hard you tried, the scale just wasn't moving, like there was no change? I know it can be so frustrating and so discouraging, and I dealt with that myself, and it happened for me at about 7 months into my weight loss journey. So up until then, I had actually been losing weight consistently, and then all of a sudden it just stopped, and I was basically gaining and losing the same 1 or 2 pounds for 3 months straight. And it was not fun. It definitely was not fun. But looking back on it, I wish I had taken my own advice that I had given you guys many, many months ago, but I didn't. And instead, my solution to the problem was kind of just dig my heels in and power through it, and that definitely was not the right choice. So today's video, I want to share some things that I wish I had done differently, and if you find yourself in a similar situation, then you definitely don't want to miss this episode, because I really think this is something that not a lot of people talk about, but it's something that we all deal with. Today I'm going to be talking about reverse dieting, and I know it's a little bit of a buzzword, but reverse dieting is basically exactly what it sounds. It's increasing your calories slowly when you've been in a calorie deficit for a significant amount of time. It's basically a strategic way of increasing your calories and sort of setting yourself up for sustainable weight loss and long-term success. So why do so many people on a weight loss journey inevitably hit a weight loss plateau? Is it because we're just not trying hard enough? No, that's definitely not it. Is it because, maybe we're eating a little more than we realize and we're not really tracking calories as diligently as we once were? That's possible. That can definitely be the case. But sometimes there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes that we're not always aware of, and that is called metabolic adaptation. So I've actually done a lot of talking about this in different videos, and I'll link one in particular where I talked about this in detail. But so I've done a lot of research on this, and more specifically in preparing for this video, I learned some things that either I knew and forgot or didn't know at all, and I just wanted to share them with you because I found this to be eye-opening. So this is what happens to your body when you've been dieting for an extended period of time. Number one, your body burns fewer calories, so your metabolism slows down to conserve energy. I think we all knew that. Number two was really surprising. You unconsciously move less. So you might fidget less, you might pace less. So for instance, I don't know, maybe you're on the phone, and if you're anything like me, I tend to walk while I'm talking on the phone, like just around my kitchen or whatever. Then that kind of slows down too. So you're not even really doing that as much. And you even blink less. Your body actually blinks less. And of course, you're not even aware that it's doing that. But these are just some of the ways that your body tries to conserve energy. Number three is your hormones shift. And this is actually really important, especially if you're in perimenopause or menopause. So there's a couple of hormones that are affected by being in a calorie deficit for too long. One of them is leptin, and leptin is a hormone that basically tells your brain when you're full. So we definitely don't want that to go down. Your ghrelin increases, and that's another hormone. And when that increases, basically your cravings and your appetite get stronger. So not a good combination for your leptin to drop and your ghrelin to go up. And your thyroid function slows down, so it just reduces the calories that you burn. And your cortisol rises, which of course makes it easier for our body to hold on to fat, especially around the stomach, so like the visceral fat. We don't want that. And if you're in a calorie deficit for too long, you tend to lose muscle, and of course I've talked about that many times. Muscle burns fat, so the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. The less muscle you have, the less fat you burn. So those are just some of the things that are happening behind the scenes that you're not even aware of when you've been in a calorie deficit for a while. And that is exactly what happened to me. So as I mentioned earlier, I was probably about 6 or 7 months into my journey when I hit my stall, and I was basically burning less calories at that point than I was at the beginning when I started, which of course is normal. As you lose weight and you kind of shrink in size, your body just needs less calories. But it's not a great place to be in when you're already consuming fewer calories and you still have weight to lose, but you're not losing weight and you're stuck. That's that's not a good place to be in. So I think what most people do when they find themselves stuck is to decrease calories even more, which honestly makes total sense to me, because we know that in order to lose weight, you need to consume less calories than your body needs. So it makes sense, if you've been in a calorie deficit and you've been losing weight, and then all of a sudden that stops, for you to think like, okay, well, I'm smaller now, like I'm less body mass, I need less calories, let me cut another 200 to 500 calories off my deficit. The problem is that could actually end up being the worst thing you could possibly do, because if the reason why you stopped losing weight is because your metabolism has slowed down, stressing it out by giving it less fuel is not the way to go. If you're already struggling, if your metabolism is already struggling, and now your solution to that is to stress it out even more by eating less, it's just not going to work, and you'll stay stuck. You definitely will stay stuck. And I actually did a video on this many months ago on avoiding a plateau in the first place, like how not to get stuck. But of course, this video is assuming you are already stuck. So actually, I really have no excuse for my plateau lasting as long as I did, because I knew all of this already, and for some reason I just decided to kind of disregard it. And well, I say for some reason, I know what it was. When this happened, I felt like I was pretty close to my goal weight, and I did not want to slow that progress down. And I just thought that if I beat my body into submission, that I could override it. And obviously that's not what ended up happening, and that wasn't the right choice anyway. So I don't have an excuse for my 3-month plateau, and hopefully I could spare you from experiencing the same thing. All right, so how do we know it's time to reverse diet? For me, there were definitely clear signs, and those signs were that I was hungrier than usual, and my food noise was getting louder than usual, and I had more cravings than usual. So, a minute ago I was talking about how being in a calorie deficit can affect your leptin and your ghrelin. That was definitely happening with me. I didn't connect to those dots, but for sure I was dealing with all of that, and I had done videos talking about that. And I thought that those were signs that I actually needed to go up in dose. So I had been on 5 milligrams that entire time. And to me, it made sense that maybe, I had been on that dose for so long and the medication just wasn't working as well. And so I figured I should try 7.5. And so I did do that. And honestly, I really didn't feel like it helped much. I didn't really feel any significant difference between 5 milligrams and 7.5 milligrams. So it was at that point that I made the controversial decision to just stop taking my medication for a while. And I say controversial because honestly, there's experts that are for and against that idea. I felt that it was the right choice for me, and so that's what I ended up doing. So I ended up taking a 4-week break, and I felt like the break was a good idea. It did coincide with Christmas and New Year's. So I did put on 5 pounds, but other than the timing of it, I still feel like that was the best decision for me. And I didn't really talk too much about, coming back on the medication, because I just didn't want to open myself up to, scrutiny or criticism. But I decided when I restarted the medication, I decided to start back up at 5 instead of 7.5. And that was just, again, another decision that I felt was best for me. My goal is to eventually get off this medication, and I felt like increasing my dose was taking me further away from that goal. This is just for me. I know that there are people that want to stay on this medication for life and feel that they need to, and that may very well be the case. To each their own. We're all doing the best we can for ourselves. So, but my goal is to get off the medication if possible. I don't know if that's going to be possible. But if I can help it, that's my goal. And so I just wanted to stay on the lowest effective dose as possible, just because of that. So I restart Zepbound after my 4-week break, but I restart at 5 milligrams. And surprisingly, it ended up working so much better than it had in months. And I think it's because of two reasons. One, I feel like I just kind of gave my receptors a break and I kind of, reset them a little bit. Again, I realize that there's debate on that, but that's just my opinion. And two, even though the break might not have been the best time, like around the holidays, I actually think, looking back on it now, that might have been a good time to do it, because I was able to, because I ate more than I normally would have. And so maybe that helped my hormones kind of level out a little bit. And, my leptin and my ghrelin, maybe they came up and went down or whatever. And I don't know, like I felt like my food noise was gone again. I had no, extra cravings, and, portion sizes were fine. I just felt, honestly, so much better than I had in months. And I was just really happy that I decided to go back on 5 milligrams instead of, going back to 7.5. So just something to consider too. I think it's just really interesting how this all works. So some of you watching this might be wondering how reverse dieting is different from having 1 or 2 random days where you eat more food, like you have like higher calorie days. That's not necessarily a bad strategy to avoid getting in a plateau, like it kind of keeps your body guessing. But the purpose of reverse dieting is to be able to eat more while still maintaining your weight. So if I was happy with my weight right now and I wanted to maintain, then basically I have been able to do that, because I haven't really gained weight and I haven't really lost weight. So I'm maintaining. The problem is that because of my recent health issues, I've been eating a lot less than I normally do. So I'm only eating about 1,200 to 1,300 calories a day, which is really, really not a lot of food. And so, that's just not sustainable long term. I can't envision myself being happy and only eating 1,200 calories a day. That's just, you eat a couple of things and you're there, you know what I mean? So, being able to increase your metabolism so that you can eat more food and not gain weight is critical for long-term success, especially if my plan is to get off this medication. So, that's really the purpose of reverse dieting, is just to increase your metabolism to a point where you can have a higher, calorie maintenance level and it be sustainable for long-term success. Right, so how do we go about this? I'm going to try to make this quick because I feel like this video is getting really long. So you only increase your calories by 50 to 100 calories a week. So this is a very gradual approach. It is not a free-for-all. Just do it slow. It took a while to get your metabolism stuck, and it's probably going to take a little while to build it back up. The second thing that you could look for is your energy level. So obviously if you're eating more food, you're probably going to have more energy. So if you're increasing your calories and you're noticing that, you actually do have a little bit more energy than usual, like just a little bit more, then you're again probably on the right track. Number 3 is strength training. And I know this is, I talk about it all the time, but if you can strength train while you're reverse dieting, then you're giving your body a better chance to make sure that the extra calories you're consuming are, going to be put to maybe like building muscle and not necessarily gaining weight. So I think that's the best way to do it. Right now, I'm not currently strength training. So, I'm just trying to get more movement in my day. So I'm walking. And by the way, if you didn't know, I'm doing a walking challenge. It's not too late to join. You can take a look at my community posts and, get the details for it there. But basically I'm trying to reach 500 miles by the end of the month. And that's not just by me. It's like, I'm going to tally everybody's, miles. And if at the end of the month, if we reach 500 miles by the end of the month, then I'm going to do a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway, as well as you'll be able to pick something from my shop. So go take a look at that if you didn't already know about it. What else? So strength training would be ideal, but even just walking and increasing your movement during this time will ensure that your body isn't just going to hold on to these extra calories as just fat, and it'll actually utilize them. And then finally is just being patient. And I know that's like the hardest part of anything. But yeah, just being patient with your body and realizing that you need to do this slow, especially if you don't want to shock your system and suddenly gain weight. So again, reverse dieting, I can't stress enough, is really just a different way of looking at sustainable weight loss and sustainable maintenance. So I know in the past for myself, when I wanted to lose weight, I would cut calories, and of course, the weight would start coming off, but eventually I would hit a stall, and my solution was to cut calories even more. But all I was doing was slowing my metabolism down more and more and more every single time. And eventually I got to the point where, like, if I even looked at bread, I would gain weight. And so that's what I'm trying to avoid this time around. I want to reach my weight loss goals and be healthier at the end of it, and be able to eat more than I'm currently eating and not gain weight. So my big takeaway is to really just listen to your body and trust what your body is telling you. So, I tried to force my will onto my body, and she didn't want any part of that. And instead, what I should have done was just listened to the cues that she was giving me and, not feared the hunger. And I know if you're on a weight loss medication, that's hard to do because we don't want to go back. And this medication is amazing at getting rid of the food noise, the cravings, the hunger, like the constant hunger. And so when we feel that, we're like, scared that it's going to open up Pandora's box. But sometimes your body just needs food. Like, it just needs food to work properly. And so I wish that I had listened to my body and not been so hard on it. And I think in the end, I probably would have gotten myself into a better position than I was, because again, it was 3 months of no progress at all. I think if I had reverse dieted at that time, I probably would have been able to maybe put on some muscle. And then at that point, after, let's say 2 or 3 months of eating at maintenance, I think my body would have been ready to go the rest of the way and lose the rest of the weight with a lot less struggle. So that's just my advice to you. I really hope that this video has given you some food for thought. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.